We're in a very serious situation here in the great city of East St. Louis and all over the world concerning this pandemic. And the reason for it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had a call from a very dear friend. His name was Dr. Evans, a good friend of Dick Gregory and I, who protested several years ago. And he asked me, what are we doing here in the great city of East St. Louis? And I told him, man, I'm trying to stay out of the way of everybody. I'm trying to stay low-key because I don't want to catch this COVID-19 myself. He said, well, brother, that don't sound like you to stay in your house and just look at things to happen around you. He said, Dick Gregory would turn over in his grave if he knew that you're doing nothing about it. And so I told Dr. Evans, I'm going to try to make an attempt to try to put something together in the great city of East St. Louis, and so we'll be able to, let people know about East St. Louis and what we're going through here too as well. And so here we are.
We need to do what the professionals are telling us to do. I know there are some many conspiracy theories out there, that some of us are involved in, that's what we're thinking and what we're believing on. But at the end of the day, COVID-19 is out there. Regardless to how it came here, it's here. And it's impacting our community in ways that we'll never understand. There's a lot going on with anxieties, mental health. There's even a high suicide rate among young folks. There's just a lot going on. And the things that we need to do, we need to be conscious of the fact that I am my brother's keeper. And what that means, I will, Sunshine, when I put on a mask or gloves, I put it on for you, Right. Not necessarily for me. I know where I'm at in this, okay? So I put it on to protect you and the people I care about, because if there's something going on with me, then the only way that I can protect you is to put a barrier between the two of us.
Well, COVID-19 is real. It's a crisis. There's an absence of comfort. Too often our confidence is in our community and in the culture. But the real interesting thing is that there's a collapse that's all around us. So the pandemic is real.
We just got to understand that this is real. The world has changed. And don't be dumbfounded to the warnings that we're getting. Take heed to the warnings that we're getting. And understand what you read. Read and watch TV. What you need to do to educate yourself on this COVID-19, because everybody's saying, "I'll be glad when it's over." When is it over? Who's to say when it's over? It ain't like it's gonna be a magic wand and it's over.
Ask questions and take it serious, because whether if you believe it or not, the numbers are real, and people are losing their lives and losing their families and loved ones. So if you don't know the information about the COVID-19, then ask someone who does know or has the info.
So it has had a very big impact on us, and it is real. I was talking to a niece of mine last week, and she was teasing, saying that she didn't feel like it was really a real thing. And I just had to stop her for a moment and say, yeah, it's real. I had it, and I know some other people that had it.
First and foremost, I'll say it's real. It always seemed like it's not until it hit home. And I kind of was thinking, oh, well, maybe the people out there who's not, following proper procedures may get it. I never dreamed that it hit my house. And I'll say, like I said, the main thing is just, it's definitely real. And it's very serious because you that close to death, especially me because I got a low immune system because I'm a dialysis patient. So it hit me real hard. So it's very real and scary.
Well, I think my biggest fear was just my kids contracting the virus and the effects it would have, and that actually happened. I mentioned I have 3 children. My middle son actually have the COVID-19 virus. So him, his grandparents, his dad, they all have it, and they all had to be quarantined. So for me, that's hard because I didn't know anybody personally at the time that had it till it hits home. You just don't understand the drastic effects. So it's just like now I see that this is something that's killing people, kids, elder, like nobody is safe. So for me, I went into a depression just because I didn't know what to expect.
Well, I was really grateful because it was a very hard time with the fevers and 10 days of fever and 6 days of migraine headaches and not being able to smell and taste. So therefore, I was not eating properly, and just the tiredness and the lethargic and the body aches. You just really feel bad.
Really?
Yes, it's just really, really a bad feeling.
I lost my mom to it, and I was affected. Thank you. And several of my family members. It just happened all at one time, and it happened quickly. And of course, I ended up in the hospital.
My brother.
Yeah. And,
3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was told 14 days is the actual time span, but it took me a month and a half to get through it. My wife had it, but she recovered differently than I did. I had more symptoms than she had. Like I said, I was in the hospital. I had to get on oxygen. I couldn't walk for a while. It was real bad.
I pray for those families that lost all those lives that we've lost throughout the United States. Man, I could imagine wasn't able to bury their family. Even here in East St. Louis, the people I just made mention of that passed could only have a few people at their funeral, and view the body or whatever. So you can't even have a real funeral, So all these things impacts the family, and so. This took the United States by storm. You know what I'm saying? It was something that really took us by storm. So I hope that we can put some things in place.
The impact of this is worldwide. There are those who would say 9/11 was worldwide. No, it wasn't. No, it was not. This pandemic is worldwide. The sad thing about that, though, is, and I know I'm going to offend somebody with this statement, but it also speaks to the arrogance of the United States. This was happening in China, and we knew it was happening. This wasn't a surprise attack. This wasn't 9/11. This isn't a surprise attack. We knew it was happening. They have shown some of the steps that Korea put in place, and we've chosen to ignore them. You know, Korea was taking people's temperatures before they were letting people in places months ago. We chose to ignore that. You know, it speaks to the arrogance of a country, the arrogance of a nation, you know. And I'm not just talking about the White House. It speaks to the arrogance of a country, the arrogance of a nation, that, oh, that little country, they don't know anything, and we know better, and we're smarter, and we're this, and we're that, and we're not.
What else could have brought the whole world to a standstill like this? We call the wars world wars, but there were some people who weren't involved in those wars, you know? But they called world wars because they involved the world to some extent. But this involves the world.
It's scary. I think it's going to change the way the global market functions. Looking beyond just our community, how businesses are going to be done, how people are going to react towards each other. I think it's going to change education because of children having to learn at home. They're already telling my kids, just locally, for next school year to expect at least 1 or 2 days where they might be doing this social learning from home via laptop. So I think at the end of this, globally, a lot of things are going to be changing on how business is done, how education is learned, how people interact on a global level.
It's really surprising to me because I've never seen anything of this magnitude before. I've seen some things that affect a region, a city, a community, and maybe even a country, but I've never seen anything that affects a whole world, all countries, although the numbers lean toward African Americans having more, but I don't think there's an ethnic group that exists that has not been affected by this. So, of course, it can cause levels of anxiety because you're dealing with something that you really don't know what's going on.
100 years ago, there was a pandemic. And so history has a way of repeating itself when you fail to remember what happened the first time.
Ain't that something?
Sometimes you can't even wrap your mind around how big this thing is. The issues that we have to face in this time that we've never lived through. People in this generation in our time haven't, even as leaders, I'll say leaders, haven't led through this, haven't led through a pandemic, so we're those who are in leadership or those who are, head of households, whatever the case may be, this is all new to us. And the fact that this has a worldwide effect on people, one that lets us know that we are not alone. So we don't want nobody to feel like, why me, why me? You look around, everybody's on the same playing field. No matter how much money you have, what's your economic status, where you are in life, everybody's on the same plane.
Our community really needs to take this epidemic very seriously. It's coming across in mainstream media as it's a black disease, and it's really not. It affects all races, all creeds, all colors, as it has been demonstrated across the country. However, we as African Americans have to be very cautious because there is selected data out there that does suggest that it affects us as a race even more. So we have to be proactive, and that message, I think, with our community needs to be really emphasized, because let's face it, in our community, we have to be creative with things we do every day during normal circumstances. You know, we don't have gyms that are available. We don't have a lot of programs, big budget cuts and stuff like that as far as our youth are concerned. So any opportunity for us to be outside or have fun, we usually try to take advantage of it. But right now is just not the time. We still have to be very cautious.
COVID-19 has caused our African American communities to suffer disproportionately devastating impacts of the virus mortality rate. Itself it can be very shocking, very disturbing, but we encourage you to do a couple of things. One is to somewhat limit your exposure to CNN and MSN and all of these news outlets, which can give you contradicting information from day to day. It's important that you do stay abreast of things and you do those things that are prudent to your safety, social distancing, proper sanitation, but you also got to preserve your mental and your spiritual health.
And I've even had people say, you know, black folks can't get it. The black community is actually getting it at a higher rate than any other segment of the population. We're the ones. Now maybe that means our other health conditions were not what they needed to be. The diabetes, the high blood pressure, we know go hand in hand in the black community. It's beyond that though. It's if you've had cancer, if you've had any other ailments, this is the kind of situation that is driving our numbers up.
So we don't want to take this thing lightly. You know, it is serious. It's very serious. People are dying, and of all colors. It's unfortunately that now that the African Americans are higher. There's a reason behind it. You know, I'm not a doctor, so but I can. We have, as African American people, we have always had something going on, whether it was diabetes or high blood pressure or something that contribute to your sickness. And if your immune system is down, naturally you're not going to come back from this if it hits you hard enough, like pneumonia, if you had the flu real bad or something. So we need to really be taking this serious and not, you know, not taking it lightly.
I've heard so much about the pandemic, how it got here, why it's here. It's here. So what can we do about it? We can try to take care of ourselves so we can have a longer and a good quality of life. I would say wash your hands, stay in, because if you're not around a lot of people coughing and putting the germs on you, you can't get it. But also exercise and have a good diet.
Just follow the guidelines that they're putting out there, making sure you wear the mask, making sure that you're washing your hands. Even when you go out, I have sanitizer in my car, I have Lysol in my car to spray my steering wheel, I have gloves in my car. I do every precaution I can. When I go in my mother or my daughter's house, they got the spray us down, you know.
When we're looking at the message of we're in this together, one of the things that we must do what things are guideline for us to do. Something that we should have been doing all the time is keeping your hands clean. And that's an important part of it. If one had the mindset that they want to protect others, you know, even more than themselves. You know, if you don't want to wear a mask for you, wear a mask for other people. Social distancing, we know the 6 feet apart for right now, and there's a lot of information that's not quite clear. But for now, those that are in authority are saying stay 6 feet apart.
And for those who do not have it, then I do want to encourage all of us to practice social distancing, wearing a mask when we are in close proximity for the protection of ourselves and protection of others, and practice sanitizing, and just to continue to be aware of it and not to let our guards down.
Remaining sanitary is always the best thing, even before the pandemic and even going on present and after. It is very important to remain sanitary, to remain clean at all times, to always, make sure the environment around you is clean, make sure that you're staying 6 feet away from one another, and just being cautious, that's very important. And also building our immune system, because that's something that we should also, keep in mind, because our immune system keeps our bodies working and pushing,
So these are the things that they're telling us to do to take care of ourselves, and so these are the things that we should be doing. If they didn't tell us to go smoke weed or do anything like that, they're telling us the basic things we need to do to protect ourselves. And if you don't want to do those basic things, then you don't want to protect yourself. And I don't understand that.
I think people ought to take their time coming back. You don't want to rush it. Somebody said 6 feet, 6 feet, or 6 feet. 6 feet apart or 6 feet under.
6 feet down.
And so I think we choose the 6 feet apart.
Nothing can break it. You stay clean, you stay healthy, do all the things that you would do before the pandemic. Wash your hands, social distance, even though temptation is hard. But your health and your loved one's health is more important. So my message to you is stay strong, stay productive, don't let the system break you, and don't let you break you. Stay positive, my people, and it's all love.
I think it's good to be safe. I'd rather be safe than be sorry. I think wearing the mask is needed, it's necessary, and it makes me feel safe when I see people with theirs on. They'll be more approachable than the ones I see that don't have it on. You'll be leery to approach them.
So that's what we need to be doing. We need to be wearing our masks. When I hear people complaining about, I'm not going to that store if I have to put on a mask. Why not? When you put on a mask, it's protecting you and the people you care about.
One of the things this virus has done has caused us to go back home among our families. And fear has tried to take over our community. But one of the things I will give advice for the black family is, yes, let's deal with the fear together, not turn on one another. I know we're not used to being at home all the time with each other, but it's a time for the black family to come back together. Of all the ills in our community that has tried to divide us, it's a time for we to take this opportunity that looks like a problem. We can turn it into an opportunity that we as the black family can come together and communicate, not fight one another, but come together and fight against this virus?
Well, first of all, like I said, we have to go back to the basics. We got to look back at beginning to grow our own foods because he who controls the food controls the people. So we have to be able to control our own. And then we definitely, you know, in terms of hygiene, washing your hands, social distancing, and building up your immune system. That's the most important thing, because if your immune system is strong, then it can fight off those diseases. People are not just getting sick from COVID-19. We're getting sick because we haven't been taking care of our bodies nor our minds.
Yes.
And stress is a killer. Stress breaks down your immune system. That's part of the problem. We have to begin to do more loving of each other. Now that we're in these tight quarters, we got to become more as a family. Each one, teach one. It's communal. Coming together, working together, networking together. That's how we beat it.
In terms of the COVID-19, for a lot of us, it's like a break. So I say treat it like a break. Take your time, get some rest, do some things that you haven't had time to do, start a new business or do something extra in your business that you already have. Just, I mean, use the time how you want to use it. Take a break or be productive, do some exercising, eat healthy, stay safe.
Typically, when a person is faced with a threat, they either have a fight or flight response. So when you face the threat of COVID-19, you really can't fight it now because there's no known vaccines or proper therapeutic treatments. Of course, by being a pandemic, you can't run from it. And so emotionally, you're left with a lot of turmoil, a lot of confusion, anxiety, fear, and with some people, even anger. So make sure that you do those things to keep your spiritual man encouraged. Spend some time in prayer and meditation. Find some positive outlets. Don't allow yourself to be overloaded with this sensory data that you really can't do much about.
Most definitely. We go back to education. You have to educate yourself because you got a lot of, in a society like this, you got a lot of misinformation, right? And you have a lot of confusion. So when you get a lot of misinformation and a lot of confusion, people don't know where to go. And then the misinformation is most likely pointed at the people you are oppressing. So you have to educate yourself.
Know something about yourself. Learn something about yourself while you're sheltering in place. You know, use your imagination. Have a huge imagination. As they say, travel vicariously by reading and thinking. And so that would be what I would say. Don't squander this time. You know, you're sheltered, so make great use of it. Go anywhere you want to go using a book or using the internet, you know, using YouTube or Facebook.
I just think everybody, just continue to have faith in God and work on your craft. You know, I think that's what everybody needs to be doing. I feel like we have, a grace period to where, we can work on our bodies, our physical self, and also our mental self. And again, like I said, and be in a progressive mind state, so.
I would say, we have to listen to our healthcare workers and begin to listen to them to say, wear a mask when you're out in the community, be safe, stay within social distance from each other, and to listen to all of our healthcare workers.
We can still go outside and take a walk and practice safe distancing, may do some reading, find something that you like doing that can give you some positive activity. There's books that maybe we want to read for a long time, and there are other courses that we can take that can help us in the overall picture of it.
Yeah, I would say take deep breaths. It's going to be okay. Try to get some fresh air. Step out. I'm not saying go out and party and meet up at the park, but step out and go for a short walk, and do some stuff like communicating with your family via phone or social media or something like that. You stay connected. It helps you through your anxiety instead of being trapped in one spot just to yourself. Family, friends, somewhere, just reach out and, see what the other person is doing and, I just want to talk to our community that God is not giving up on us. There is hope. We can look to Him. I know it seems like there's no hope, but we can look to our Creator, our God. And I just want to pray for our community.
I believe God is trying to get our attention. This thing did not take Him by surprise. He is the answer no matter what. And I believe in using the medical science with the ventilators and the medicine, but we still going to have to trust God to be able to combat this.
Our help is in the Lord. That's why Psalm 46 is it. It says the Lord is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in a time of trouble. So the hope that I have is not in what's happening around, not in the hospitals, but it's in Him. And that gives me the peace. Because if I look up the word hope, you're in my lane now. But hope is a favorable expectation that things are going to work for you in your good and in your favor. And from a spiritual perspective, it's actually our vision of what it's going to be even before it happens. So that's our faith.
It gives us an opportunity to really look inside of ourselves as a people, and then look at the world and see that there's a bigger force, bigger than us, and that if we don't begin to look inside of ourselves and do what's right in the eyes of the Creator, then these things will continue to happen.
I know COVID has no mercy, but God's mercy endures forever. And if we just follow what they say do and do we know is right, that we'll be out of it without the worry. If we trust in God, it won't be no worry, it won't be no fear. So just increase your faith in God, talk to God daily, get you some music that's going to minister to you, it's going to soothe you down, to calm your spirit, and get a scripture that just talks to you, speaks to you directly every day, and just know that it's going to be okay. That in the end, we win.
So as it relates to the role of the pastor, it's to continue to reiterate what it is that we're supposed to be doing, do it prayerfully, continue to point to the Word of God, continue to keep people involved. As it relates to the church, they need to continue to reach out to each other, but they need to be very supportive of their communities. As it relates to the community, hopefully the community will look and follow our lead, but we got to make sure we're setting the right example. So.
We cannot let this devastate our lifestyle. Okay, at some point, we have to recognize that there's still a need to get out into the sun, get the fresh air, go to the park, walk in the park, jog in the park, do some other things away from your home. Because otherwise, you can go crazy looking at the same four walls. You've got to see something new and different and feel the fresh air. But you got to be cautious.
Well, this has given us an opportunity to really do more of what we understand that's what's important, and that is, family first, and then at the same time, building ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually, teaching others how to be more healthy in terms of vegan diet and eat and how we eat, because we understand that part of what's happening with COVID-19 is our immune system. And we must build our immune systems up because after COVID-19, it'll be COVID 100. It'll never stop. So we have to be able to build our systems up so that we're able to handle the things that come our way.
When we come out of this, we're going to be close unit. We're going to begin to put our thoughts together and build the family up, that we forgive each other. Some of the things in some of our families, we have hold grudges with each other, not let them go for years. And we see it's time to drop all that and stop fighting against one another and fight against this virus that we can survive.
I think this pandemic will make our country, with the right leadership, it'll make us a better country as far as being prepared. This particular epidemic will change our way of life for the better. I'm willing to give up shaking hands for the rest of my life if that's what's going to make our community and our world better. We're going to have to make a lot of adjustments. I don't think normalcy as we once knew it will ever happen again. Right. But I think it's going to make the whole world better as far as the way we communicate, how we communicate. It's going to take a lot of discipline, however. You have people who are just used to doing things their way. But I feel like in the long run, it'll really help our country. We're very behind in a lot of things in our country, whether we want to admit it or not.
We have to realize that we need one another, that we can't do it without one another. Before the pandemic, we was struggling, trying to find our way, and I think this is a time for us to grab and lean on each other even more so, to revert back to how it was back in the days when I was coming up.
Exactly.
As a family and as a unity, when you borrowed from your neighbors and stuff like that, you relied heavily and looked out for one another, and I think that's still needed in the community when all of the politicians and the legal system and everything just invested in the community.
We're here where we are, and we're just going to have to take precautions. We're going to have to continue to do those things to flatten the curve. We're going to have to continue to help not spread this virus, doing what we can.
One man's crisis is another man's opportunity. As I said earlier, I think that we have to get our heads above the daily distraction and chaos, often caused by conflicting information, our own fears of things, our own anxieties, and get a level spirited mind to see what can we do to improve the future. First of all, plan to be in the future. Do those things that keep you healthy and safe. Besides that, I think we look at some of the benefits that we've gained from our use of technology, the use of various means of communicating, folks working from home rather than commuting into work. We've heard that pollution, smog, and other types of issues have greatly decreased because of how we're responding to the pandemic. But more than anything else, I think it's to recognize that these things are part of our new norm. And we have to be prepared to address these types of issues, be it pandemics or be it even famines, so that we're no longer caught off guard and that our people are emotionally, spiritually, financially, and even physically prepared to withstand these types of onslaughts to the best of our abilities. So I think you learn to appreciate one another all the more when social distancing begins to ease, and we're able to regain some of that social contact. Maybe we'll appreciate those friends and family members on a whole new level and take those times and make them very precious to our communication and our fellowship.
Just hold on, stay strong, believe in yourself, because like I say, there is life. If you can see this, there is life in you. And if you can catch this, wake up and say, hey, I'm finna grab life by the hand. And I'm gonna thank God every day. And I'm gonna keep going until I find it, because He's waking me up every day to let me know that there is still life and hope.
And we know the definition of love. Love is kindness, patient, long-suffering. It keeps no record of wrong. And that's how we can get through this. If we will love one another, care for each other, be humble, as I like to say, be humble and stay faithful to God, your family, and then the community and church, or whatever the case whatever platform you are on. But always know that we can share, show, and supply the love of Christ, the love of God, if we in turn receive it for ourselves. So stay strong. That's what we say. Stay strong. This too shall pass, as the old saints say. But take your community and love your neighbor, love your brother and sister, love your family, and we all get through this together.